How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to the Remote Control Podcast, where normally there's a couple nerds sitting here geeking out about movies, TV, video games, music, and more. Unfortunately, this week I ran into some car problems. I'm stuck up in Pittsburgh, where my co-host is actually about an hour and a half away south of me, so we couldn't work it out where we could do this show together. So I'm going to do a quick show here by myself. You can check out Colton this week as well. He's going to be doing a Star Wars Talk solo podcast show that'll probably drop Wednesday or Thursday. So this week, I'm going to run down a bit of the few TV show premieres that came out over the past week, as well as a couple that have already been out for a little while. There was also a couple trailers that came out I want to talk about real quickly, and I'm going to get into some DCEU stuff, DC Warner Brothers debacle that's been going on this past week. Seems like that's every week. So quickly here, I'm going to run down some of the past week's TV shows. Lethal Weapon just came back this past week, and last year, I absolutely loved the show. It was one of my favorite shows of the season, or the year last year. I think that we've been needing a Lethal Weapon to come back in some form or fashion, be it whether it was a movie. I'd never expected a TV show, and when it came out last year, I was like, I'll give it a shot. I'll check it out. Had one of the Wayne's kids on it, so let's see what it's like. And let me tell you, it blew me away. I absolutely loved the show, and it definitely delved a lot more into Riggs' character, which I really enjoyed, and I was really hoping that they were going to do the same thing this season. Now, last year, if you watched last season, you know, it wrapped up with a cliffhanger where Riggs went off down to Mexico to find his wife's murderer. Well, it opens up this season right at that point, but it kind of quickly just, and again, this is spoilers here, this kind of quickly just wraps everything up on that storyline, and I'm not quite sure where it's going to go from here. I'm interested to see what they do this season. The acting between the two characters is phenomenal. I think they play off of each other really well. Actually, I think it's cast really, really well, and the writing is good as well, so I'm going to give it a shot. I'll see where it goes this season. I was a little disappointed with the first episode of Season 2, but hopefully they rectify it and move forward, because I think last year the biggest thing that really excited me and that I really enjoyed from the series was Riggs' backstory and everything like that. Then there was Brooklyn Nine-Nine that came out this year, or this past week. I believe it's season 3 or 4 at this point, and it's just one of those shows that I'll throw on just to watch, just to check it out, because, you know, what the heck, it's a decent show. Get some laughs from time to time. Adam Sandberg's a funny guy. Again, I mean, it is what it is. It's more the same from last season and the seasons prior. So if you like the wacky comedy that Adam Sandberg does, you've probably seen him in movies like That's My Boy and what was that, Rockstar? Well, not Rockstar. Whoa, different movie. Pop Star, one that just came out last year. He's very weird. He's very Adam Sandler-esque in his type of comedy. So if you like that, if you've never checked out Brooklyn Nine-Nine, give it a shot. I mean, Terry Crews and Adam Sandberg are pretty much the stars of the show, I think. In my eyes, they're like the two stars of the show. Designated Survivor came back this week, and as much as I loved last season of this show, I'm curious on how they're going to continue pushing forward with everything that happened, because you're now a year into his presidency, or almost a year into his presidency, I think. At least it's what it sounded like from the episode, that it was almost a year, and because they rebuilt the Capitol and stuff like that. To me, I'm interested to see where they take this. It looks like it's going to be slightly moving towards more like a West Wing type of style show, where it's more focused on the president, not so much the politics behind the president. But I think that's kind of the way it's going to move now. I don't know if there's going to be so much suspense and intrigue like there was last year. At least there didn't seem to be much of that in the first episode. Again, it's just the first episode. What can you really tell? Again, Kiefer Sutherland, anything he touches, in my opinion, is gold, with the exception of, what movie did I just watch? Zoolander 2. With the exception of that movie, anything Kiefer Sutherland touches usually turns to gold. So, that was Designated Survivor. Gotham, the second episode came out this past Thursday, and I'm going to tell you this, I'm kind of upset because I completely forgot that they moved from Monday to Thursdays, so I didn't get to watch the show Thursday night, because normally I have everything on a schedule, and I get home from work, throw things on TV, watch it, check it out. For some reason, I completely forgot it moved to Thursday, so I didn't get to watch it until Saturday, and I only got notified that it was actually recorded and out there for me to watch, because I saw another podcast or YouTube show actually did a review of episode 2, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, I didn't know it even came out yet. So I checked that out, and it was good. I really, really like what they're doing with the Scarecrow. I like the stuff they're doing with Bruce Wayne. I know a lot of people are all upset because they're rushing Bruce Wayne to be Batman. I don't think it's rushing him. I think they're doing the right thing, because you need to have a show that's set in Gotham, and you have all of Batman's villains all much older than him already. You need to start getting him to that point where he's going to be Batman, because if they slow down and take their time, by the time he's Batman, the Riddler's going to be 90 years old, Penguin's going to be dead. Like, you need to do this in a timely manner. That way we can hopefully see some Batman shenanigans against his foes. I still don't think it's going to be something that we're going to see until the final season, whether that's this year, next year, whatever, because the ratings have kind of dipped this season, which is kind of disappointing, because these first 2 episodes of this season have grabbed me more than any episode of the previous seasons have, and I really like that about it. So I hope they continue to do the same thing that they're doing. I hope they don't get canceled. I hope their ratings go back up. I hope people listen to podcasts, because I know I'm not the only one that's saying this, that these 2 episodes are fantastic episodes. They're really, really pushing what Gotham has been trying to do, and I think it's starting to get to that point. Ben McKenzie, who plays Gordon, I think is back to his old self, his season 1 self, which is, I think, the best version of him, because season 2 and 3, I really didn't like his story arc. I didn't like the way he acted. This, I think, is bringing him back to what he was in season 1, which I'm excited about. Moving forward, The Good Place. I don't know if you've ever watched this show. I know there's a lot of geeks and nerds that probably listen to this podcast, but The Good Place with Ted Danson and Kristen Bell is one of those feel-good, funny shows. It's good family fun. The first season, I didn't know what to expect. This past summer, I was bored, had Hulu, was like, I'll give it a shot, check it out. Ended up binging the whole season in like a day and a half, because it's not that, the episodes are half-hour episodes, and it's not that long of a season. Really enjoyed it. So season 2, I was like, I'm going to have to stick with it, see what it's like. Season 2, I mean, the first 2 episodes have been out now. The first episode's an hour long of the season, and the second one's only about a half hour long. They're good. I'm not going to give away any spoilers here, because if you haven't seen the first season, the second season is a big spoiler of the first season. So it's good. A lot of the same, which is a little disappointing, but Kristen Bell's adorable, and I don't care what anybody says. She's a geek and nerd at heart. You can see her in movies like the movie Fanboys, which is based a throwback film by a bunch of fans that made a movie about going to see episode 1, sneaking into Lucasfilm to see it and stuff like that. I mean, it's fiction, it's not real, but it's just hilarious. And Kristen Bell was in that movie. That's where I really first discovered her years ago, and I think she's an excellent actress. And this is just, again, this show, The Good Place, is good family fun, and I recommend everybody check it out, especially if you have a family and you like that kind of stuff. This Is Us came back this past week, and yeah, I mean, this show is really strong. It's a strong show. I do question why every episode has to make us cry, or try to make us cry. I didn't cry in the first episode here, but I got the feels. I got the tingles. Because it's like every episode just tries to push this message of you should feel bad about something. It's not even anymore of just like, tears of happiness or anything like that. It's always just tears of being sad about something. And don't get me wrong, that episode was phenomenal. I think that if you've watched it, I'm going to say spoilers here, you know that the whole build-up is trying to figure out how the dad died. What was it that caused his death? And, the daughter talks about how it was her fault and everything like that. And I think that what they showed in this first episode was very deceiving, because I don't think they're not going to do it that way. I don't think that what happened, what they showed at the end of this episode, is how he died. I think there's going to be something else. They're going to just keep hinting at different things, like last season, it's his alcoholism that does it. This season it could be the house fire, whatever it is. They're going to keep giving us different things that it could possibly be. And I think once we find out what it is, people are going to be like, oh, okay, all right, now that makes sense. But until that happens, don't trust anything they show you on this show, just because I think that they're just misleading us in many ways. Finally, I'm going to talk about one more show, Halt and Catch Fire. I know I've mentioned this multiple times through this podcast for the past multiple months here. It is such an amazing show. I'm so upset that this is the final season. There's only 2 episodes left. Actually, 1 episode left because I think the 1 episode premiere showed yesterday, so I think we only have 1 episode left. I can't take it. I can't take how good this show is and that it's going off the air. It's one of my favorite shows that have come out in the past 5 years. Check it out. Just the way that it's gone from the early 80s to introducing personal computers and just how these characters have interacted with each other. And again, it basically takes place over about a 10-15 year span. The 80s into the mid-90s and stuff like that. It's just so good. I'm telling you, check it out. If you are somebody who is interested in how computers and how the evolution of the personal computer to the internet and to the web browsing and everything like that transpired, while this show is based on fiction, it's not based on any fact or truth. There's a lot of truth within the show that they're showing here. Excellent show. Check it out. The final episode, I believe, is next week or the week after. I can't remember right now. Again, not fully prepared because of my little circumstance of being stuck at my mother's house with just my tablet and a headset and my phone to record on. So that is it for TV shows. Definitely let me know in the comments below, message us, tell us what you thought about these shows. If there's any shows that you want to hear me talk about that I haven't talked about that you think I should check out, let me know, because I love all TV. It's one of my favorite pastimes is just sit down and watch 3 or 4 TV shows a day, which is kind of sad, I guess, in a way if you think about it. Okay, anyway, moving on to the couple trailers that came out this week. A movie called Annihilation is going to be coming out. It's a Natalie Portman movie. I'm a huge fan of Natalie Portman. She's been one of my most watched actresses of mine for the past probably 20 years. I mean, seeing her starting off really and the movie Heat or Leon the Professional, those movies where she's young. Leon the Professional, I mean, she has a huge role in and does fantastic. And then there's movies Where the Heart Is, and then it moved into Star Wars, and then Closer. I mean, I could go on with her library of films. I just think she is a fantastic actress. So this movie called Annihilation is coming out, and the first trailer came out last week. I thought it was very interesting. I think it's very different. It's definitely going to be one of those movies that just makes you start questioning and asking questions and stuff, because that's just bizarre to me. I don't know. It's got this weird apocalyptic feel to it, and I don't know how to feel about it with the trailer. Now, the plot goes: a biologist's husband disappears. She puts her name forward for an expedition into an environmental disaster zone, but does not quite find what she's expecting. The expedition team is made up of biologists, an anthropologist, and a psychologist, and a surveyor. Natalie Portman is the biologist. And again, the trailer shows her going into this environmental disaster zone, and things just aren't what they seem. Again, it's going to be one of those movies that make you think, and that's what it is. It's directed by Alex Garland, based on Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. I guess that's a book that came out. And this screenplay was also by Alex Garland. So I'm interested in seeing this. I think it looks good. Check out the trailer. Let me know what you think, because again, I wasn't really sure what this movie was this trailer's trying to convey, other than, hey, this is a messed up thing, you're going to be confused about it. And if you don't know who Alex Garland is, he did he screenwrote 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later, and then he produced, or was an executive producer on 28 Weeks Later. So he has been doing things. He did direct Ex Machina, and now he's directing Annihilation. So he is somebody that's known in there, and if you've seen Ex Machina, that is one of those weird, kind of indie films that is excellent. So definitely give that a shot as well if you get a chance. But check out that trailer for Annihilation. Let me know what you think, because I'm curious. I want to know. Another trailer that came out early last week, actually, we should have put it on last week's episode, but I missed it, is a movie called Father Figures. And I tell you what, I love movies like this. I'm a fan of Owen Wilson for sure, and Ed Helms. And this trailer just looks to be good fun. I mean, it's going to be a rated R movie. The plot is two brothers learn their father did not die when they were young, as they previously believed, and they go on a road trip across America to find him. It seems like their mother was a bit of a whore, for lack of a better term, and had relations with many, many guys. I look at it as being like Mamma Mia, almost, just with two guys. So we'll see how it is, and not all the ABBA music, obviously. Directed by Lawrence Sher, and written by Justin Malin. It stars Ed Helms, Owen Wilson, J.K. Simmons, Cat Williams, Terry Bradshaw, Ving Rhames, Harry Shearer, Christopher Walken, and Glenn Close. I mean, I don't see how this can't be funny. Then again, it could be horrible. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. But the trailer definitely made it look funny. Check out that trailer, because I enjoyed it, and hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Alright, a couple other things. We're going to get out of trailers, we're going to get out of TV, we're going to get into some geek news here, some, nerd news, whatever's going on in the nerd world, whether it's with comic books or, video games, what have you here. A lot of people have been questioning, when are we going to get this Justice League trailer? With New York City Comic Con coming up this weekend, I really think that we're going to see something either this weekend or next week. My guess is this weekend. Keep an eye on everything for that, because I'm not going to say it's the final trailer, because I think we're going to get one trailer here, and then we're going to get another international trailer, as well as a bunch of TV spots. So keep that in mind. When are we going to get the first Infinity War trailer? I think it's going to be roughly the same time as the Justice League trailer. I don't know which one is going to drop first. Whichever one drops first, you can definitely guarantee that the other trailer is going to drop shortly thereafter to combat against it. So keep that in mind. So Infinity War, again, I'd say New York City Comic Con is the best bet for that to happen. I know a lot of people are saying that they may not see the Infinity War trailer until Thor comes out at the beginning of next month. However, I think that that's a little misconstruing, because I think they want to get it out sooner rather than later. I know that they have Thor coming out, and they also have Black Panther coming out, but they need to get some promotional start to have a promotional push for Infinity War. I also think we might see another Black Panther trailer this week. If not, that'll definitely come out when Thor comes out. So keep that in mind. Then another trailer, Star Wars trailer. So if you listened to our Star Wars talk last week, we talked about Mark Hamill and his infamous tweets where he told somebody to watch Monday Night Football on October 9th for no specific reason. Everybody ran with it. Everybody was like, oh, that's what he means. He then deleted the tweet. I even questioned Mark Hamill, like, how is this not national news? So, looking at it now, Star Wars Newsnet, who is a very reputable site, definitely posted that they are confident that the trailer will be on October 9th, Monday, October 9th, during Monday Night Football, which completely makes sense from how they did The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens, they did theirs. Sorry if you hear the phone ringing in the background. Like I said, not ideal situation for me to record this week. I apologize. But the trailer for The Force Awakens came out during a Monday Night Football game in October. Shortly thereafter, the tickets for the movie went on sale, and that's how everybody got excited. That's when everybody got excited. I think, and I've been saying for the longest time, The Last Jedi is going to do the same exact thing. They're going to release the trailer on a Monday Night Football and then release the tickets shortly thereafter for the film. October 9th seems to be the day, so mark that day. We have no official confirmation from Lucasfilm or Disney on the matter, but I think it's only a matter of time. Even it could be at New York City Comic Con that they announce, hey everybody, this is going to come out this coming Monday. Or we may just start to see a preview on, like, Good Morning America or something like that that's going to promote this. So keep an eye out for that. Now, getting away from Star Wars and Infinity War and stuff like that, like I said, I was going to get into this DCEU, WB stuff that came up this past week. It's very interesting. Geoff Johns was questioned and asked about Man of Steel and stuff like that. Now, when Man of Steel was made, Geoff Johns was not in the position he is in now currently at DC and handling the DCEU properties and everything like that. Geoff Johns was merely just on the comic book side, really helping push and getting everything ready for Rebirth. And I mean, that was even a couple years before Rebirth, so he probably wasn't even thinking about that yet. So he wasn't quite in the spot that he is in now. And he said that he talked to Warner Brothers and stated that he felt that Man of Steel needed to have a lighter tone. Well, Warner Brothers didn't listen to him, and they pushed him aside and said, we're going through with what Zack Snyder wants to do. And Man of Steel came out and was a very divisive film, whether you agree with it or not. I personally think it's a masterpiece. I think it's done, it did a great job in starting the growth of Clark Kent, Kal-El, and Superman. I really think that it's such a great film. Might be one of the best, if not the best, superhero film that I've ever seen. Now, again, we all know what happened later on. Geoff Johns then gets more control of the DCEU. However, that is not until after Batman vs. Superman is in production and moving forward and everything like that and nearly completed. So he couldn't even bring the lighter tone for Batman v Superman that he wanted. Now, when Justice League was due to come out and everything was announced, they were prepping for that, Geoff Johns wanted the lighter tone to be brought into Justice League, and that was his plan. And if you remember back about a year and a half or so ago, they had people on set for Justice League. A bunch of different news outlets were there, and they got to be on set, and they all stated, you can definitely tell they're going for a lighter tone. And that was right when production pretty much started. So they've been shooting for a lighter tone for Justice League from the very beginning, with Zack Snyder's aesthetics and everything like that. That's perfectly fine. Now, as things started to progress, and they felt that they were going to need to do some reshoots, as all productions need to do, they felt that, oh, wow, we need to bring somebody in to maybe add some lighter tone to this, and Geoff Johns hired Josh Whedon to do that. He did that only after Josh Whedon came in and pitched Batgirl. Now, you have to realize, they didn't go to Josh Whedon and say, hey, we want to do a Batgirl film. No, Josh Whedon came into WB and DC and was like, hey, I got an idea for a Batgirl movie. And they listened to it and they loved it. And they're like, all right, boom, we're going to do this movie now. So everybody got excited about that. Because of what they heard from that, Geoff Johns was like, man, let's bring him in and maybe he can help us out in lightening the tone of Justice League a little bit. So boom, Josh Whedon was now rewriting some scenes, writing some additional scenes for the reshoots that every production has, reshoots, and that was the plan of that movie. So when that happened, everything happened with Zack Snyder and his daughter, passing away tragically, and everything like that happened. It only made sense because Geoff Johns wanted a lighter tone to transition over to Josh Whedon and move forward with him. Plus, he was already working on it with the rewrites and everything like that, so that made sense. So I know a lot of people were worried about, they're moving away from the tone that Zack Snyder created and everything like that. You got to remember that this was all planned out from probably before, in Geoff Johns' head, probably before Batman vs. Superman it was even released. So it isn't anything in response to how Batman vs. Superman was received, because again, it's another divisive film. I think this is just something that Geoff Johns really wanted to do, is bring a lighter tone into the movies, and we're going to see that in Justice League, which I think will help the mass majority audience, the masses, to really enjoy it and like everything that they have there. Let's see here. Okay, Geoff Johns also, he's been in a bit of hot water this past week, because he mentioned that they were going to be doing a whole bunch of movies over the past, or they're going to be doing a whole bunch of DC movies, Warner Brother movies, Aquaman, for instance, I'm going to take. He's talking about doing Aquaman, and how Aquaman, while yes, he is in the Justice League, his movie is not going to directly connect to the DCEU. And he said that that's our plan. We're planning on making all these movies within the universe, but they're not all going to be connected. And that threw everybody for a loop. What the heck is he talking about? What are they talking about? What do you mean that they're not all going to be connected? How can you possibly do that? You come on. Look at what they're doing. Oh, geez, DCEU, what is going on? We got to worry. That's literally what was going on this past week. And I had all intention of coming on the podcast this week and explaining to people, calm down. Calm down. That is not what he means. And thankfully, Geoff Johns reiterated what he said. And it was through a tweet that, look, It is all connected. It's all the same universe. It's all the DCEU. He's just not going to have them interconnect like Man of Steel to BVS to Justice League, because that is one overarching large story right there. Those 3 movies. That's not what he wants to do. He wants to bring in these directors, bring in these writers, these creators, and say, here's the toy box. Have some fun. Do what you want with Aquaman, and that's what James Wan's going to be doing with Aquaman. He's going to play in the toy box and get to do all these things with Aquaman, and we're not going to probably see a connection to Justice League, to Batman, to Wonder Woman. Why do we need to? We don't need to. Just make a good movie. Marvel's done that. Look at Ant-Man. Ant-Man is essentially its own movie. Yeah, there's some connections to other movies in there, but then again, oh wow, they showed the Avengers, Avengers little hideout or whatever you want to call it in the movie. That's all the connection is there. Other than that, Ant-Man is an Ant-Man movie, and that's what DC is trying to do now. That's what Geoff Johns is trying to say he's going to do. He's going to allow these filmmakers to make their movies and make them as they want. And when we have a Justice League movie, guess what? They can all get together and be in that movie. I'm okay with that, and I hope everybody else is, because I think that's what the DCEU needs right now. They need a little direction of stating, look, it doesn't all need to be connected. Wonder Woman did a good job of it as well. Wonder Woman, while yes, there's end caps, there's a beginning cap and an end cap to how it all fits into the DCEU. But the movie in whole is not connected to anything else. It's about Wonder Woman and about how she becomes who she is. That's what we need for everything else. I'm okay with that. I know people are talking about the Flashpoint movie, going to switch everything, getting rid of Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne and blah, 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 that stuff. People need to stop worrying about that. Right now we have Justice League coming out, and then we have Aquaman coming out. Just put your sights on those 2 movies. Get excited for those 2 films, because that's what's going to be fun. That's what's going to be exciting, and I really, truly look forward to Justice League. I think it's going to be an excellent film. And this DCEU is going to take off. Whether you want to talk about the 15 Joker movies they're making or not, it's going to be fun. And I think that they're going to do a good job. And Geoff Johns, I trust wholeheartedly to right the ship. And not even right the ship, but just make sure the ship stays on course and people enjoy what we're watching. Okay. Before I move on to my final thing that I want to talk about here, because I'm telling you right now, this was a pretty big story that came out this past week. But before I go from that, I do want to go and give a shout out to a guy I met on one of our podcast groups on Facebook. His name is Deej Panhollow. He's actually the host and runner of a podcast called Nerdtocalypse. Let me tell you, that podcast is excellent. I really, truly enjoy. I've listened to probably about 15, 20 episodes since I met the guy the other week, and I just love the show. It's interesting. It's all about nerd news, geek news, just like this, but they just sit down, talk, and bullshit about it. I really enjoy it. I want you all to give him a shot. Give it a shot. Check out his podcast again. It's called Nerdtocalypse. I'm hoping to get him on our show one time. We're hoping for me to jump on his show maybe one time and to do a crossover event or something like that. Maybe make our own cinematic universe or podcast universe or something. But definitely check out his podcast, Nerdtocalypse, because it is excellent, and I do recommend it completely. It's one of my favorite podcasts I listen to now. So definitely check him out. All right. So moving on to the final bit of news here. This is going to be a bit of a rant from me because, again, this is something that really truly aggravates me when it comes to filmmaking, to fandom, to different things like that. So this past week, or this past Thursday actually, Billboard magazine released an article where they spoke with upcoming movie Justice League composer Danny Elfman. And they talked to him at the Vienna Festival where he received a Max Steiner Film and Music Achievement Award. Now during this interview, which you can find on Billboard.com, Danny was actually asked about Justice League. Now, I'm going to say right now, I believe that there is a spoiler that Danny Elfman gives away in this interview. So if you don't want to hear the spoiler, you may want to just turn this off now, maybe skip about a minute or two, and jump back in. and then listen to my rant here. But there is a bit of a spoiler. So, this is how the interview goes. You've been in London recording the score of Justice League. It's been 28 years since you scored Batman. What was it like getting back into the DC universe? And Danny Elfman goes, it was great. It was like I never left because I'm using the same thematic material that I used back then. It never actually went away. It was just great fun. He then continues, there are a few moments I instated a moment of the Wonder Woman theme that Hans Zimmer did in Batman vs. Superman. But I also had 2 minutes where I had the pleasure of saying, let's do John Williams' Superman. And then for me, that was heaven. Because now I have a melody to twist. I'm using it in an actually very dark way, in a dark moment. It's the kind of thing that some fans will notice, and some won't. It's a moment where we're really not sure whose side he's on. Alright, so the people at DC are starting to understand... Oh, I'm sorry. Whoop, that was more the thing there. I'm not going to get into that. So, everybody's running around now with the headlines. John Williams' Superman theme, going to be in Justice League. Woohoo, rejoice, everything like that. People, listen to Hans Zimmer's Superman Man of Steel score. That is one of the best scores that I think have come out in the past 10, 15 years. It is strong. It is phenomenal. That title track, the one track titled Flight, encapsulates who and what Superman is so well. I could sit there and listen to that track on repeat for hours on end because it is that good. Now, yes, I'm going to jump back and say John Williams' Superman theme is a phenomenal theme. I absolutely adore it. It's one of my favorite. I mean, come on, that music speaks to you. It even says Superman in the music, you know, like the way it goes do do do. I mean, that's Superman. Like that's exactly how it is. It's phenomenal. But the problem I have with it is for a different time. It's a different Superman. It's a different tone. It's completely out of place in the Zack Snyder universe that has been created with Superman and Man of Steel. It doesn't work in my opinion. I've been against Danny Elfman scoring Justice League from the moment they hired him, from the moment they announced that he was hired for it. I don't understand. I was upset when Hans Zimmer left because I thought Hans Zimmer did a fantastic job on Man of Steel. Then he and Junkie XL worked together on Batman vs. Superman. And then Hans walked away and Junkie XL was going to do Justice League. And I was confident that Junkie XL was going to be able to do a good job because he worked with Hans. And he was going to be able to just bring all of that Hans created over to Justice League and continue it through the final part of this trilogy that has been created. When they decided to bring Danny Elfman in, look, Danny Elfman is a good composer. He's made some incredible scores, some memorable scores. I mean, the original 1989 Batman score is a phenomenal score. You have things that he's done with Tim Burton. You know, the Beetlejuice score, it's awesome. You know, the theme for Beetlejuice. The problem I have with it is his tone, the way that he puts off music is very different than the way Hans Zimmer does. Very different than the way Junkie XL does. So I'm worried that it's going to be so out of place. It's not going to fit in with the theme and the thematic I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but you know, just the way the music has just gone on this journey from Man of Steel all the way through Batman vs. Superman, it's going to feel different. Even if you take a look and listen to Wonder Woman's soundtrack, even though it was a different composer, you know, it still has the same feel as Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, and that was done by Rupert Gregson-Williams, who actually worked with Hans Zimmer in the past, which made sense for him to be able to bring that feel into Wonder Woman. I don't see Danny Elfman able to do it, and what makes me mad even more is that he said, there were a few moments where I was able to use the Wonder Woman theme. The Wonder Woman theme is probably the best moment of musical importance in Batman vs. Superman. That moment when she jumps down in front of Batman and protects him from Doomsday, and that electric cello just goes off. I mean, come on, like, who doesn't love that? It was phenomenal. It was amazing. The fact that he's just like, yeah, we got a couple moments here for it. How are you gonna how are you gonna get rid of that? The fact that they're bringing back John Williams' Superman score. Now, he said the way it sounds like it's not going to be the typical score. It's probably not going to sound just like John Williams' score, not all hopeful and everything like that. But the way he said it, spoilers here, he says that it's in a certain moment of the film where you don't know what side this person is on. First off, thanks for the spoilers there, Danny Elfman. But how does that make sense? Because Superman's theme by John Williams is all about hopefulness. How do you put it in a moment like that? So I don't think he even understands. He doesn't even understand what John Williams' Superman theme means to the Superman community. He just doesn't. Not only that, but it's a different tone. It's a different Superman. We can't keep going back and using old things. I get it. Yes, you can love them. You can adore what has come before. But to this point, why? Why? Just let's just move forward. Let's make something better. Make something cool. Make something exciting. Because I'm telling you right now, there's no reason, not a single reason, to bring that Superman score back. It's an amazing theme. I love it. I used to listen to it all the time when I was younger. I'm a huge John Williams fan. I did a whole podcast on John Williams a few months back. The Superman theme is one of his best. It's in my top 5, in my top 10. It just doesn't fit here, guys. And unfortunately, they're just going to keep pushing this kind of stuff onto us because Danny Elfman, he's not that good of a composer. I'm not going to say he's not that good of a composer, but he's just not right for this job. And I think DC, in a way, they're scrambling because they want to make sure that things are done differently than it was before, and they just got the wrong guy. I know Hans Zimmer wasn't going to come back. He's pretty much said he's stepped away from superhero films, and that's okay. I get that. You do so many superhero films. He did all 3 of the Dark Knight trilogy. He did Man of Steel. He did The Amazing Spider-Man 2. He's gotten to a point where he's done with the whole superhero stuff. So I get that. That's fine. And you're not going to find somebody that's exactly like him. But Tim Burton is the furthest thing from Hans Zimmer that we could have gotten. And that's kind of disappointing. Because I think it's going to hurt us. Hurt the film more than anything. Because my excitement level for this movie is high. And it did drop a little bit hearing this news. And I know there's a bunch of people out there, I'm sure there's a bunch of listeners that are listening to this right now who are just as excited as some of the other people are for Danny Elfman bringing back this theme. But I tell you what, I don't think everybody gets how important music is in film. And when you bring in something like that, you bring in something that was a different time, was a different tone, was a different movie altogether, I think it's going to take away from what Zack Snyder has built, and that's a shame, because Zack Snyder has worked hard. Whether you like these films or not, he has worked hard over the past 5-10 years. So with all that said today, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. Again, it was unconventional. Normally it's Colton and myself doing a show together. Sometimes we have some guests here and there. But this week, we had some unfortunate circumstances where I got stuck where I was at. So with that said, definitely check us out on YouTube. We now have a YouTube channel that's a little more active. We post our podcasts up there weekly, as well as on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, and all those different things. What I do ask of you, though, is if you do listen to my show here, please leave a review. Let us know what you like about it, because that's what's going to get us a little more popular on iTunes. I also want to better our show, better myself, better the co-host. We want to just get better at what we're doing for you, and hopefully by leaving a review, we'll be able to see what it is that people like, what they don't like, so definitely leave a review. You can join our Facebook group, The Remote Control on Facebook, like our page as well. And you can find links to all of these things at www.theremotecontrol.com. That's www.theremotecontrol.com. You'll be able to link to us on Twitter, on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, all of that right from that website, as well as, occasional blogs that we throw up on different aspects of the film industry, TV, music, video games, movies, what have you. So with all of that said, thank you for listening today. Again, I apologize that it was just a solo show, but you got to do what you got to do, and I wanted to make sure that I got this stuff out there this week for you guys to listen to, and I'll talk to you all next week. See ya.